The Emperor's Children are finally here in the universe of Warhammer 40,000. The grim dark has never been so excessive, and the pursuit of perfection from the Emperor's Children are going to be highlighted in their full by this Codex review. Now, a massive thank you to Games Workshop for giving us preview access and helping us go through everything that you need to know about the Emperor's Children. Whether you're interested in playing the faction, playing against it, we're going over some of the top combos, how the rules interactions are going to work to make sure you can be set up for success in your pursuit of perfection.
It's time to take a look at the brand new Emperor's Children Codex, and oh my, we've got so much to go through with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down this Codex review a little bit different to how we've done before, because there's a lot of new stuff compared to other codexes where it's maybe changed from an index. So we're actually going to start with the data sheets today, and I'm joined by Michael. Michael, how are you feeling about this Codex?
It's very interesting. It's the first new faction of 10th edition. The last new faction introduced to the game will have been Votan. So it's very exciting. Looking through the data sheets first will really give us an idea when it comes to the detachments, what we can expect to see take the front position in each of those detachments.
Let's start with the main man himself, Fulgrim. Okay, what does Fulgrim do?
So Fulgrim is a all-in, self-absorbed unit. And I'm not just talking about the lore here. The unit is all about him. So like Primarchs, he has 3 different abilities he can pick, but all of them are kind of focused on him. So first off, we've got obviously a Demon Primarch stat line. So that's 16-inch move. Obviously he's got wings, he's quite fast. T11, 2 up save, 4 up invuln, 16 wounds, OC 6. So he's a beat stick, and he can take punishment as well. Then we've got his weapons. So we've got a 12-inch range whip, which is a bunch of strength 8 AP2, 2 damage shots. And then we've got his weapons. His tail does have 6 sort of little attacks, but his main weapon, his demonic blades, he's got either 6 strength 14 AP3 D6 plus 1 damage attacks, or a sweep of 12 strength 8 AP2, 2 damage attacks, with sustained hits 1 on both of those profiles.
Oh, the sustained hits is quite nice. D6 plus 1, though, that's maybe a missed point on this guy. Maybe D6 plus 2 would have felt a bit better, because then at least you're always having flat 3 damage, whereas D6 plus 1 means you could always just get, or you could just get the same result as if you just did a sweep attack. Yeah,
what I was surprised to see was not twin linked, because he's got 4 arms.
Yeah,
so it actually makes sense to have the twin linked, or for the extra set of swords to be like extra attacks. So I think twin linked would have been good here. D3 plus 3 damage probably would have been good.
Yeah,
over D6 plus 1.
Yeah, true.
Because the average is about the same anyway.
But still, he's obviously there to take a beating and also dish out a fair bit of damage. He's going to kill Marines for days, isn't he?
He is going to kill Marines for days.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got his fancy abilities. So demonic poisons is his first one. In your shoot phase and the fight phase, after he's made attacks, you can pick an enemy model hit by those attacks, and they're poisoned till the end of the battle.
Okay.
What that means is at the start of each player's command phase, so there's a little bit of admin to do here, you roll a d6 for each poisoned unit on the battlefield, and on 4+, they suffer d3 mortals.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. He's only 12-inch range, but there are, there's plenty of ways to be mobile with an Emperor's Children army. That's one of the main focuses. So you'll definitely be kicking this off a fair bit. Obviously, if he hits something, you're hoping he kills it, really.
Yeah.
But you might spread out your attacks depending on the situation, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's nice to have a debilitating effect for him as well, isn't it?
Yes. Unsure whether it continues to happen while he's dead.
Right.
I guess he's not on the field, so... Anyway, I'm sure they'll clarify that.
Yeah.
Finally, Demon Primarch of Slaanesh. He can pick 3 abilities at the start of your opponent's command phase.
3 abilities, or pick one of 3?
Pick one of 3 abilities.
1 of 3, okay, cool.
Yeah, just the one, don't worry. 1 at the start of your opponent's command phase.
Okay. So, interesting, at the start of your opponent's command phase.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can, of course, do this whilst he's in Deep Strike.
Yeah.
So, of the 3 abilities, we've got -1 to be hit. So Beguiling Form. We've got Demonic Speed, which gives him fights first. So don't charge him. And then we've got Enthralling Hypnosis, which is an aura ability that means that enemy units within 6 inches that try to fall back take a leadership test, and if they fail, they have to remain stationary.
That's good. I mean, out of the 3, though, the -1 to hit, think you probably take always, pretty much.
It's the most universally useful one.
Yeah, and I think maybe the fights first is if you're coming up against World Eaters or a combat matchup, maybe Blood Angels or something of that nature, right?
Yeah, if there's something that's actually going to kill you in combat, but an army that doesn't also have lots of shooting,
Yes.
then you take fights first. I do really like the no fallback.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. I think it's really good because if he can get stuck in and your opponent can't fall back from him,
True.
then they're screwed. And obviously, it's a 6-inch aura as well.
Yeah. We do have ways of manipulating battle shock and leadership tests as well, don't we, in this codex? So
Yes, there are. Specifically, Noise Marines. They actually have a modifier for battle shocks and leaderships until the start of your next shooting phase. So it would affect your opponent's next movement phase, which is interesting. So you could shoot them with one of the Noise Marines and then cause all sorts of problems.
All right, so overall, for Grim, how are we rating him in comparison to other Demon Primarchs?
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's definitely a solo piece.
As he should be, right? It's full Grim. He's very self-obsessed.
Yeah. But he's a menace. I think his damage leaves a little bit to be desired compared to the other Demon Primarchs.
Nice choice of words.
Yeah. But yeah, and his ability, the poison's weird.
Yeah.
Having like ignore modifiers from Mortarion, or the army buffing pieces from Angron, or even coming back like Angron does.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would want that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's points dependent, obviously. I think he's okay, but he's not necessarily an auto-include because he's a solo piece.
Sure.
Which is nice. It's nice to see that the book has a reason to not take him.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Lucius, so this is the next named character, and obviously brand new kit as well, or brand new model. What does Lucius do?
Okay, so Lucius is the opposite, where you probably take him every time.
Right. Okay.
So he's movement 8. He's T5. He's got 6 wounds and a 2-up save. So he's very durable, actually. And previous iterations or incarnations, I suppose, of Lucius have been weaker. So quite a durable unit. He's got Feel No Pain 5+ as well.
Nice.
And Lone Operative.
So he's got everything.
So it's pretty spicy.
What's his damage like?
Well, so he's got the Blade of the Lair. So precision, 6 attacks, strength 8, AP 3 damage.
Wow. Flat 3 damage.
Flat 3 damage. One of the only sources of flat 3 damage in the book.
I mean, with fight first as well. And
you say fights first.
Right, okay.
If he's on his own, he's got fights first.
Oh.
If he's leading a unit, no fight first.
Sure. Yeah, because I guess if he's on his own, he wants to prove himself more. If he's with other people, I guess, yeah, sure. Makes sense. That's cool. But fight first, you probably just take him on his own most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He does also have the Lash of Torment, which is basically a bunch more attacks, so better into like 1-wound models. He got another ability, a challenge worthy of skill. So each time he attacks a character monster or walker unit.
Okay. The Dreadnoughts, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wants to take down the Dreadnought.
Yeah. You can reroll hits and wounds.
That's good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
It's good. He can lead Flawless Blades, but only Flawless Blades.
Right, and we'll come on to Flawless Blades as well. But Lucius is good. I mean, shame he hasn't still got his mortal wounds when he dies. Like that.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's funny, cool thematic rule. Obviously, he takes over the person. He possesses them, doesn't he? If they feel pride when they kill him. So, but overall, his rules are very strong, and I can see why you say he is an auto-include in pretty much every list.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I would normally run him on his own. There's probably some arguments where you can attach him, but it's always lovely to have a character that can go solo.
Yeah.
And in some matchups, you've got the flexibility to run them leading as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the next character we've got is the Lord Exultant. Now, this is like your Chaos Lord equivalent, right? What does he do for you?
So the Lord Excellent, as Steve calls him.
Excellent, yeah, he calls him the Lord Excellent.
Bill and Ted's Adventure. So the Lord Excellent has the Perfectionist ability, so lethal hits to the unit that he's leading.
That's good. Lethal hits is really good.
Yeah. For all of their attacks. He can lead Infractors and Tormentors, which are the battle line units in the book. One is kind of like your tactical Space Marines or Intercessors, and one's kind of like Assault Intercessors for a frame of reference.
Yeah.
In terms of his other ability, this guy is pretty nuts. So Euphoric Strikes, once per battle, start the fight phase, he can use this ability. Till the end of the phase, he gets +3 attacks, and he gets an extra AP for all of his melee weapons.
Wow. Okay. That's different because like a captain or even a Chaos Lord gets like +1 damage or dev wounds. Now this is AP. It's very Slaanesh-y. Like that's what we've seen in different like versions of Slaanesh sort of builds, haven't we? Extra AP is good.
This guy's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so he can have 2 melee weapons,
Right.
and one of them's extra attacks.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
this is going to affect both. So you can have a Phoenix Power Spear, which is 5 attacks, 8 attacks, strength 7, AP 3, 2 damage with Lance. Then he's got his Rapture Lass extra attacks, so that's 4 attacks. Would be lovely to have the +3 here, but extra attack specifically says you can't modify the attacks. However, strength 4, AP 1 now goes to AP 2 because you can affect that characteristic, and 1 damage. So he's kicking out a lot of hurt.
It's very interesting, actually, that change with obviously giving him extra AP, because him giving lethal hits as well on top of that with his unit means those units, like him joining the 5-man infractor unit, is that the one, the combat one?
Yes.
Those
Reroll wounds on objectives.
and reroll wounds, and obviously there's detachments we'll come on to with reroll hits potentially in there as well. We can really get a lot out of this unit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. If he joins either of the units, he gets their innate rule. So infiltrators with the tormentors, and then scouts with the infractors.
Oh, okay, interesting. Do you think he misses out on the like reducing the cost of a stratagem?
There are other ways to do that in the book.
Okay.
But I think this is like, if you could have a lieutenant and a captain rolled into one model,
This is it.
this is it. It's
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not complaining. I would probably put 3 of these in every list.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice. What's the next character we're going to take a look at?
The Lord Cacophonist.
Ooh.
Okay, so this guy, again, another tough Marine. T5 with 6 wounds and a 2-up save.
T5. Wow.
Yeah.
Wouldn't expect that from that model.
No, and weirdly, the Lord Excellent is only T4 with 5 wounds and a 3-up save.
I guess this guy's a little bit chunkier, isn't he? Because he's got like the organs on his back.
He does have the organs on his back, yeah.
He's a top musician.
He is a top musician.
Yeah.
Weirdly, though, his rules, not amazing.
Okay.
He's got a damage 1 power sword.
Right.
Gives his unit sustained hits, which is
That's
nice.
good. That's good. For combat as well?
It's just ranged weapons, unfortunately.
Right, okay.
So
Right.
you don't get that in combat. In your shooting phase, though, if you hit an infantry unit, you can do mortals to them potentially, not that many, and you can force them to take a battle shock if they take any mortals. Combines well with the Noise Marine's ability, which naturally he can lead.
Okay.
He can also lead Terminators,
Interesting.
which is interesting.
It's an interesting combo, that one. But so he can obviously join Noise Marines. So giving sustained hits to Noise Marines is a good buff. So it'd be interesting when we come to the Noise Marine data sheet in their weapon profiles, whether or not actually sustained hits is worth taking as character. Because other than that, the mortal wounds ability and maybe a battle shock test is okay. But
he's all right.
points dependent, right?
Yeah.
Cool. What is the next one?
Sorcerer.
Okay.
Quite different actually to the sorcerers in other armies. Also, as a note, movement 7 is generally the movement for
Right, so we've got an
normal
extra
Marines.
pip of AP.
The extra pip of
movement, sorry.
movement, yeah, absolutely. So sorcerer gives you cover, gives your unit cover,
Sure.
and also if you shoot an infantry unit with his ranged attacks, then they're -2 to their move and their charge rolls. He's only range 18, so it will have to be someone relatively close anyway. But it can be really useful for those infantry units that are really fast and want to hit a different unit
Yeah.
in combat. So
It's an annoying, debilitating effect for combat armies, right? But when we come to the army rule, we're probably going to be stuck in combat anyway. So an ability like this may seem a bit like early game, doesn't really happen later game, sort of an effect, right?
yes, this ability is particularly disgusting with one strat available in one of the detachments. We'll come back to it later.
Who can the sorcerers lead?
So infractors, tormentors, and noise marines.
Okay, nice. So we could put them with a unit of noise marines.
Yeah, we've got some weird. Nobody can lead the same units. Everybody leads different options.
One thing I've noticed is there's none of these can actually lead flawless blades. That's an interesting thing that none of them can actually lead flawless blades.
Yes. Yeah.
Bit of a
I
miss.
think a bit of a shame. It would be nice to see the Lord lead the flawless blades. Would that be too powerful? Who can say?
I don't think so. I mean, a captain can join Blade Guard or...
We'll cover the flawless blades in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, what is the next data sheet?
Demon Prince of Slaanesh.
Okay.
So this is one without wings. This guy is your standard Demon Prince profile. However, has a cool rule here where they're lone operative whilst within 3 inches of friendly Slaanesh infantry.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, so long as you have the infantry nearby, obviously. Kind of like a Primarch, the Imperial Primarchs, which is very nice.
That's heresy right there. You can't compare a Demon Prince to a Primarch. That's heresy. Unless it's a Demon Primarch, then you can say it. Right, what is his other ability?
So he has an aura where Slaanesh units within 6 inches that make a charge move get an extra pip of AP.
That's good. That's really good. I mean, if we combo that then with the Lords as well, they can then go to like crazy high AP4, right?
Yes.
Really strong.
Yeah, it's very good. And it affects Slaanesh units. And spoilers, there's demons in here. They have the Slaanesh keyword as well. So if you did run, and there is a specific detachment that you can run these demons in, if you did run this prince, then they would also affect those demons units.
Okay, nice.
In addition...
There's more?
Yes.
Right, okay.
If this guy is killed in combat, on a 2-up he fights. On death.
He's got 2-up fight on death as well.
2-up fight on death. The only downside to the princes, I will say, is their profiles are not particularly impressive.
So you're not going to be too scared. I mean, maybe like because he can go to flat 3 damage with some of them, right?
They are flat 3 damage base
Yeah.
with 6 attacks at strength 8, AP2, flat 3 damage. Will be AP3 on the charge.
Because of his aura, yeah.
Because of the aura. So even if they die that turn, you know, before getting to fight, then
they still get AP3 damage 3, which is good.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, fight on death on 2+ is still a nice deterrent to have. It does seem very like anti-combat. I mean, Lucius and this guy as well. It's looking good for that matchup.
That is the ultimate power couple of the Emperor's Children. I think you're going to see that combo.
Holding hand in hand.
Hand in hand, walking around the board. Best friends, both blown up.
How does the Demon Prince on foot compare to the Demon Prince with wings, though?
Well, the Demon Prince with wings is naturally faster and slightly less tough. But that speed is really, really important to Emperor's Children, as we'll see. So I personally might favour them over the normal footprints. Anyways, so it's same attack profile, exactly the same. However, the abilities are different. When it charges, it does mortal wounds on the charge.
Nice.
So you roll dice equal to how many wounds it's got left. Each 4-up is a mortal, capped at 6.
Oh, right, okay. How many wounds does it have normally?
10.
So 10, so you roll 10 dice.
10 dice, 4-ups are mortals.
Cool.
Then we've got -1 damage.
Wow. Okay, -1 damage is really good.
-1 damage is great, especially since the other ability depends on how many wounds they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like this, but it is, again, a solo piece, whereas the other one is more of a buffing piece.
It's nice to see that you got 2 different options. You got one that's a very more melee, like central threat, and I think it's nice that that's on the winged Demon Prince because you've got the movement and the reach, and then the one that's going to be more of a buffing piece is a bit more of the slower grounded one, which is good.
Yes, and has lone op as well.
And has lone
just
op,
to keep it alive because it's a bit slower. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're going to move on to some units now, and actually the main elite unit of the Emperor's Children, the Flawless Blades. So what do they do?
Well, beyond their Chiadi-Mundi-shaped heads,
yes.
They are 3 wounds apiece with toughness 5.
Yeah.
3-up save, 5-up invuln. Akin almost to World Eater's 8-bound, but not quite as tough. Their melee weapon is 3 attacks, a hit on 2s, of course. Strength 6, AP3, 2 damage. 3 attacks is a little...
I thought they'd have more.
I thought they'd have more as well.
4 to 5.
And their ability is each time they fight, they can call upon their demonic patron, the Dark Prince. And if they do, then they get unmodified wound rolls of 3+, scoring critical wounds.
Okay, that's pretty strong.
So this is good because strength 6 is going to wound most infantry on 3s anyway.
Yeah.
But as soon as you hit a vehicle, you can now just, ask Slaanesh and say, Slaanesh, I'd quite like to kill this vehicle, please. And then he goes, sure, you can wound everything on 3s.
Yeah, anything in the game on a 3+. It's a pretty brutal rule to have, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is an unmodified wound roll, though,
right?
Of 3+. So that does mean that even if your opponent modifies your wound rolls, 3s will still
wound so even if there's -1 to wound, it still it means it's 3+ always wounds?
Yes.
That's pretty strong, actually. I never actually considered that rules interaction there. Okay, interesting. Any downsides to this, though? Because it seems pretty strong.
Yes. So if you don't destroy any enemy models, which you're likely to anyway, but let's say you go into a vehicle and you maybe don't kill it, 1 model in this unit is destroyed.
Okay, so he, as penance for not killing what you actually asked the power to kill, you lose a model.
Yeah.
That seems fair. But I think overall the unit is pretty strong. obviously, if we have access to dev wounds, I don't know if we do in this book, but that would make that very strong.
Sadly not.
Okay, all right.
Sadly, there's no way to give them dev wounds in the book.
Okay, interesting. Obviously, we don't have characters bar Lucius that can lead them.
Yes, and Lucius doesn't even give them anything.
He doesn't even
innately.
give them anything, no.
So.
But they do actually give Lucius the crit wound
They
on
do,
threes.
yeah.
So it means
Yeah.
you could get Lucius always wounding vehicles on threes at AP3.
with
3
full
damage.
rerolls as well, if it's a walker.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
monsters and characters.
Oh, you're
full
picking up
rerolls.
Dreadnoughts easy, aren't you, with Lucius, if he joins them?
Yeah.
So now there is a reason to take him with a unit, I guess, because of this rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, nice. Well, the next unit we're going to take a look at are something a bit less magnificent, or more magnificent if you're a bit more into the Chaos side of things. The Chaos Spawn. What difference do these guys have to maybe other Chaos Spawns?
They're much better.
Interesting.
Possibly one of the MVPs of the book, actually.
Right, okay.
Weirdly. Now, the main thing is that if you look at their OC characteristic, it's 1. They can do actions for you. It is important for this book because there's not a huge number of units that can go out and score cards.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe that was the consideration, is to give them a unit to go out and score your cards potentially.
Yeah.
But what's their datasheet rule?
So
I'm
datasheet
interested.
rule is once per turn, when an enemy unit ends a normal move or advanced move or fallback move within 9 inches, they can reactive move 6 inches.
I mean, look, they're only ever going to be OC1, so like maybe plays with them stealing objectives may come up in a game, but it's probably more so to keep them out of harm's way or maybe move block, things like this, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly that. It's a card scoring piece now that can reactive move, which I think is so valuable.
Yeah.
In an army like this.
Okay, all right, I like them. And they can dish out a fair bit of damage as well with their random amount of attacks at flat 2 damage.
Yeah.
Put them near a Demon Prince and then they can go AP2 damage too.
AP2, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But hey, on to the next one. So on to our battle line. So now we have our Tormentors. So the Tormentors are like our Legionnaires, so to say, right?
Yes.
Or if you're Space Marine equivalent, your Primaris Intercessors. Right, what do they do?
So Tormentors are battle line. So are Infractors, which is the next unit. These are OC2 standard Space Marine characteristics, but 7-inch move. These guys allow you to keep control of objective markers, even if you leave them.
Sticky
So
objectives?
sticky objectives, as we commonly call it, in the command phase. So at the end of the command phase, which is very nice. They also have infiltrators.
Wow. Maybe the only battle line with Infiltrate?
Yes, outside of specific detachments,
Yeah,
etc. Definitely, I think the only infiltrators battle line with sticky as well.
Yes. Quite
Which-
a powerful piece to have in your army, actually,
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
unnecessary. I suspect you'll see at least 2 of these
in a list.
units in a list. In terms of their output, not huge. It is sadly mostly bolt guns. You can have obviously a couple special weapons in there. It's not an upgrade to the Legionaries kit. It is its own standalone kit. You can get like a whip and stuff. One of the cool war gear abilities it has, actually, there's an icon in there. And if this unit destroys an enemy unit at the end of the shooting or fight phase, then you take a leadership test and you get CP.
So this is what you were saying earlier with the Lord Exultant when I said, would you rather like the reduction of CP cost? Well, we actually have ways to generate CP just for having icons.
Almost the same net gain, actually. Because your Lord's probably going to kill someone. They're in a unit. They might not be in this one, to be fair. But you do get this icon with the Infractors, which they will be leading. So you'll kill a unit with the Lord, and then you get CP.
Yeah, which is good.
Because you'll probably pass the leadership test.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now on to Infractors. Now, these are like the combat versions, so like our Assault Intercessors. What do they do?
So these are exactly the same profile, but they've got Scout 6 instead of Infiltrators.
Again, a really strong rule to have on battle line units.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, and they can go in Rhinos. We have access to Rhinos.
So we can do the whole Scout and a Rhino up, potentially get further move from that.
Yes, exactly. And you can fill the Rhino entirely with Scouts models, which means you don't have to faff about with not having a unit in there, then jumping in with a different unit.
Yeah, because the Lord Exultant can gain Scout if he joins this one, but if he joins Tormentors, he gains Infiltrate.
Exactly that.
Right,
exactly
okay.
that. What you can do, though, so Noise Marines are obviously in here, and we'll cover them soon, but they're 6 models in a unit, and the capacity of a Rhino is still 12. So having 6 Noise Marines in there, you can now also have 5 Infractors and a Lord. So you could Scout move, then jump the Noise Marines in, and then have a party.
Have a party.
In a Rhino, which absolutely not fit in 12 of these guys.
Hot drum and bass music coming out that
they are
Rhino.
literally all up in each other's grill inside that Rhino because There is not a lot of space.
Not a Rhino I want to be in.
No.
But overall, I mean, some really strong battle line choices here. I think as a start for an army, you definitely are going to want like 2 of each, maybe.
The box is a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. The beautiful box that we have here.
Yeah, these guys, as we mentioned earlier as well, of course, they reroll wounds against people on objective markers with their melee attacks and wands normally.
Yeah, awesome. Right, well, what is the next unit we're going to take a look at?
Chaos Terminators are next. These guys, if they all shoot the same thing in the shooting phase, they got reroll charges against it when it comes to the charge phase. So I guess if you deep strike, it makes you more likely to get in there.
But you're not spending a CP on a reroll charge.
No, it would be nice to get plus something to the charge.
Yeah, but you mentioned that the Lord Cacophonist is the only character actually that can lead Chaos Terminators, which is a bit of a shame. I was kind of hoping maybe a Terminator Lord or something that could have joined them. But kind of, I don't think this is a data sheet you'll probably be seeing much.
Not a huge amount. The options are exactly the same as normal Chaos Terminators, but...
You can only have 5 as well, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. You can only have 5 in a unit. You can't have 10. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Not really sure.
Okay. What is the next unit?
Chaos Land Raider.
Right. Any different to normal Land Raiders?
No different at all.
Okay.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Not even a bit of extra movement?
No.
No? All right. Well, Land Raiders the same. I'm assuming probably like the Rhinos the same.
Hold our horses.
Okay.
The Land Raider can transport 14. So in the Land Raider, you could have 2 units of 6 Noise Marines with a Cacophonist in each.
Okay.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice for the 14. Flawless Blades can go in Land Raiders. They take the space of 2 models.
It's a weird.
I don't know if they're big enough. It's weird, right? Because a Blade Guard veteran for Space Marines is 1 model in a transport.
They're pretty much Blade Guard. I wouldn't say that they're on a 8-bound level of stature, right? Where they take up that much space in a Land Raider.
Yeah, I mean, if you can fit 6 Noise Marines and 6 other dudes in a Rhino,
actually,
you can definitely fit.
Look, the Flawless Blades have got big heads, so maybe that's
true.
What
they're
it
too tall.
So, yeah, no, their heads are just too big because they're too egotistical. But maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a durable chassis to take the Flawless Blades into battle, I suppose.
And an option for anti-vehicle as well, because you've got all the last cannon shots as well on a Land Raider.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else that we need to look at here?
Not really, not with the Land Raider.
No. Well, Noise Marines. So kind of the archetype unit for Emperor's Children. Classic. What do they do?
So these guys are move 6, T5 now, 3 up save, just 2 wounds still. They're quite big. So kind of expected more wounds or
maybe
something.
3.
Maybe
yeah,
3
wounds, yeah.
But Havocs at the same time for Chaos Space Marines are about the same size, and they only have 2 wounds. So maybe it's a consistency thing. So these guys, they've got Terrifying Crescendo, is their ability. So in the shooting phase, after they've shot, as we mentioned earlier, till the start of your next shooting phase, one of the enemy units that they hit of your choice, each time they take a battle shock or leadership test, they're at -1 for that test.
Okay. Could we stack this if we shoot multiple Noise Marine units into the same unit?
I don't see why not.
No? Okay. All right, fantastic.
What the requirement for that, so some abilities can't stack, but that's because they apply a named effect to their opponent, whereas this doesn't say our opponent is shocked or anything. It just says
burst eardrums, like sort of effect.
Yeah, exactly. So you could stack this potentially, which is quite nice because then you could charge with Fulgrim and they couldn't
to get
fall
its
back,
ability more. Yeah, sure.
And there's actually quite a lot of different ways to inflict battle shocks or reasoning for battle shocks and bonuses against battle shock units in this army, which is quite nice. Their weapons though, so there's 6 models, 2 Blast Masters. It is minimum 6, so there's no 3s of these guys that you can take.
Interesting choice. 6 is the number of Slaanesh, though, isn't it?
It is the number of Slaanesh.
Yeah.
We've got a Blast Master, so 2 of these, of course. These are either 3 shots at strength 10 AP2 3 damage. Solid.
Pretty good.
Or 6 shots, strength 6 AP2 1 damage.
So I like that actually, because we've got, if we go into something like Eldar or something that's like 1 wound models, and you've got loads of shots coming out of these guys. Or if you're going into like elite armies, you've got flat 3 damage shots. I like the versatility there.
Yeah, I really like the fact that in a Rhino you can have 2 of these pop out the top and shoot.
Yeah.
And you just fire the Blast Masters out.
That's a horrifying crescendo.
That is a terrifying crescendo.
Terrifying one. Yeah.
Sonic Blasters is the other weapons, and these are much improved over previous iterations of Noise Marines. So 3 attacks each, strength 5 AP1 2 damage.
Still, I mean, it's good. You're definitely tearing apart elite infantry like Marines.
All of this ignores cover as well.
Yeah, even better, right? Because it effectively works out like AB2 in a lot of situations, doesn't it? Okay, I like them. I think Noise Marines definitely a really good unit. You're probably looking at including these in pretty much every list.
Yeah, potentially if they are still available to Chaos Space Marine players, I would definitely be looking at this, especially if I was looking at like Dread Talons or something. But even in some of the other detachments, this is a good profile.
Yeah.
For these models.
Well, anything with flat free damage is going to be. Not many armies have access to it in abundance, right? Whereas if you can have these as a couple of units of these spread into any CSM list, there definitely is going to open up a lot of options for them in terms of damage options.
Yeah.
So I like that. Next one is to take a look at the Helldrake.
Helldrake, very much the same as the Helldrake in any other format, except it has a 2+ save.
Oh, nice. Okay, we've got a 2-up save and a Helldrake. Sweet.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
my CSM don't have a 2-up save Helldrake.
It's better armor, mate. They've perfected the armor on it.
Yeah, they've perfected the armor. I like
exactly.
that.
You need to learn from them.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next bit?
It's got a different ability.
Oh, okay.
It does mortal wounds over things that... it's just over anything that it flies over.
Oh, sweet.
It rolls 2 dice, and each 4-up is D3 mortals. So
Ooh.
it could actually be very spicy.
Yeah.
Each time it ends a normal move. +1 to the roll if the enemy unit can fly.
Okay.
Interesting.
My Blood Angels are a bit scared of that. Just potentially getting 6
Okay.
mortal wounds. That's horrible.
No.
Next data sheet.
Mauler Fiend.
We've got Mauler Fiends. Nice.
And obviously, if you're playing Emperor's Children, you've got to give it the Lash of Tendrils.
Yes.
Because it makes sense. +1 to hit if below starting strength, +1 to wound if it's below half strength.
Cool. If it's below or if the enemy
if
is.
it's below.
Okay.
For both.
Sure.
Yeah, it's okay. Its profile it's not different. It doesn't have a 2-up save.
Forge Fiend?
No Forge Fiend.
No Forge Fiend.
No Forge Fiend. Clearly didn't make enough noise.
Yeah. Couldn't give him Blastmaster shots.
Couldn't give him Blastmaster shots.
That would have been a cool Forge Fiend.
Would have loved to see some form of vehicle with noise, like based weapons, like akin to the old Dreadnought, the Hellbrutes with the Doom Sirens and stuff.
Sonic Blaster Dreadnoughts.
Sonic Blaster Dreadnoughts. Which is a shame because there are also no Hellbrutes in here.
We're missing quite a few data sheets, actually. If we take a look, I mean, World Eater's had a similar treatment, but I feel like they've actually got more data sheets available to them than the Emperor's Children, which is a bit of a miss, actually, because we're really restricted on what we can take here.
Yeah.
There's nothing else really. The Chaos Rhino, obviously, we mentioned that. I'm guessing it still heals a wound.
It's still here. It still heals a wound. It also allows you to disembark from it if it's advanced, which is really nice.
Okay.
Still 12 capacity, no flawless blades though, so you can't put blades in a Rhino. That's huge. Whether it's a balance thing or not, I don't know.
It's a weird one, isn't it? I mean, we'll talk about at the end our thoughts on where this codex lies in terms of the meta and how it will perform competitively. But just looking at the Emperor's Children data sheets, we're very restricted on what we can take. And I think most lists, you will have a similar issue to World Eaters, where there's maybe 1 or 2 versions of the lists, right? Yeah. Hopefully we'll see different ones because we've got detachments to go through. But there is something else to talk about though, right?
There is, but just to stress, that is it for the Space Marine side of things.
Yes.
No Vindicators, no Predators of any kind. And I'm sure you can name a dozen more that we've forgotten about units that you do not get in this army.
Yeah. Demons.
There are demons in here.
There are demons. Now, look, we're not going to go through, to be honest, there's only 2 pages of demons. There's not much. You only get Shalaxi, the Keeper of Secrets, the Demonettes, the Fiends, and also the Seekers. That is it for the demons. But they're only working in 1 detachment. So I think what we'll do for the demons is there's one blanket thing we're going to mention is Shalaxi and the Keeper don't actually have a Feel No Pain in this one, do they?
No Feel No Pain for these guys. Shalaxi's had tweaks to her rules as well. I think she's lost some attacks.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of it is pretty much the same. The other units have had minor changes to their unit abilities, but their output's pretty much the same compared to the Demon Index.
But this is it, and we don't want to linger too much on this because we don't know what the intention is with this. No. It could be whatever. We don't know what's going to happen with this. So we'd rather just focus on what this offers you if you take the detachment in this codex, rather than looking at the wider implications this might have with the Demon Codex.
Just notice that Demonettes have fights first.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Pretty spicy. So Demonettes get a fight first. Nice.
So Demonettes, Fiends, and Seekers is what we've got in here.
And do they all have fights first, or just Demonettes?
Just Demonettes have fights first.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, so we'll talk about them when we come to the actual detachment. It allows you to take a split force. So we're going to come on to the army rule now. Now, the army rule, what is it, Michael?
Thrill Seekers.
Ooh.
Okay, so if your army faction is Emperor's Children, which it is, then your units that have this ability are eligible to shoot and declare charges, even if they've advanced or fallen back.
Really strong rule. Kind of expect it, actually, to be honest, with Emperor's Children. It's one of those ones you could have bucket listed and gone, yeah, that's probably what they'll get.
However, if it is a unit that has advanced or fallen back and wants to do these things, it can't target units that were in combat with it.
Right.
So you can't fall back from a unit and then charge straight back in. And also, you can't target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase.
So what implications does this have to the game?
Okay, so if you've got one enemy unit and it's in combat with two of yours, if you fall back with both of your units, you can't both charge back into that enemy unit.
Right, okay.
Only one of you could do so.
Sure.
However, if there were two enemy units and you fell back with your units, each one that was in combat with those two enemy units, then you could declare a charge against the other unit
right
that you weren't in combat with at the start of turn, and then your other unit could do the same to the other unit.
So it's going to be all about
you kind of crisscross what you're charging.
Yeah, so you got to make sure you're doing it in a priority stage, right? So you need to make sure you're doing it at the right time and the right unit in the right moment.
But this only applies to the units that have advanced. So if you've got one unit that's advanced and one unit that has normal moved, then they can charge the same target, but only if the unit that advanced charges first.
Right, okay.
Likewise, if you've got units that have advanced or fallen back, of course, and want to shoot something, then don't shoot with the units that didn't advance, because if you shoot with them, you won't be able to shoot with the ones that advance at that target. So shoot with everything that's advanced, charge with everything that's advanced first, and then you get the rest of it.
I understand as a thematic side to a rule, but in terms of it being just advance and charge probably would have just been simpler, right?
It strikes me as something that's going to be easily forgotten in the heat of competitive play, but also something that will feel really bad if your opponent does it and then realises they can't now charge with their other unit.
Yeah.
And do we at this point say, you know what, go back and do it?
Yeah.
Or is this now, they made a mistake?
Yeah.
So what I would say is whenever you're using this army, always declare your intention before it actually reaches that step. Like, okay, I'm advancing this unit and I'm going to normal move this unit. When it comes to the shooting phase, remind me, or I'm just saying now I'm going to shoot with this unit that advanced first.
Yeah.
And I'm going to charge with this unit that advanced first, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that just kind of is a...
Yeah, it helps, right? You can work as a team to get through this army rule.
Yeah.
But overall, still advance and charge and shoot, and also fall back, shoot and charge. Very strong rules to have for the faction.
Amazing army rule. No matter what detachment you play, you've always got this.
Yeah, very, very good.
Great.
Detachments now. Let's go through them. We've got 6 detachments to go through, which is a lot, actually. I was kind of expecting maybe 5 or 4.
Yeah.
But 6 is quite a lot.
I think some factions in the game probably feel a little bit hard done by, knowing that there's 6 in here.
Absolutely. But we've got 6 different ways to play this faction, so hopefully this allows us to maybe mix up the styles of armies that we're actually wanting to create. The first one we're going to look at, though, is the Mercurial host. So what detachment rule do we get here?
We can reroll advance rolls for Emperor's Children units.
I mean, it works really well with the army rule.
Yeah, a little bit of redundancy.
Yeah.
It's nice, but very simple.
Yeah. Very simple, but this probably is more of your basic detachment, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Enhancements, what have we got?
We've got Steeped in Suffering, which is each time model in the bearer's unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit below starting strength, you get +1 to hit. If they're also below half strength, you get +1 to wound as well.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, you could get your noise means hitting on 2s.
Oh, yeah, because it works for shoot as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So if you've damaged an enemy unit, you can still throw grenades. There's grenades as a keyword in here.
Yeah, true. And then get the ability.
So there's a few different ways that you can get this.
Next one.
Intoxicating Musk.
Musk.
Very familiar if you're on the Warhammer scene and it's a big sweaty hall of players. Anyway, so each time a melee attack targets the bearer's unit, if the strength is greater than the toughness, -1 to wound.
I mean, it's good. I mean, it's combat only, so obviously work only in certain matchups. But still, it's nice to have.
A sickly sweet aroma emanates from this warrior.
I don't think we need to read all the lore, to be honest, on these ones. I think we might get demonetized, actually. So what's the next part?
Tactical perfection.
All right.
This is a redeploy. 2 Emperor's Children units that you can redeploy. It's okay. You've got some scout moves, you've got some infiltrators. It's probably worth it because you can aggressively deploy your Tormentor squad
out in the open,
and then bring them back safely. So that's probably worth looking at if you're playing this detachment. And then Loathsome Dexterity. This allows an Emperor's Children model and their unit to move through enemy models during normal, advance, or fallback moves and auto pass desperate escapes.
I think that's probably an auto include, actually, right? Because what it does mean is there's no such thing as a move block for this unit, for that one unit that character will lead. And I think just looking at the data sheets, we don't have much access to fly, so move block might be a big problem for the Emperor's Children.
Yes, so for me, I'd probably put this on something like the Demon Prince, just so the Demon Prince can just move through everything.
Yeah.
The issue you have with the infantry is there's not a lot of units that want to be advancing anyway, because you can't lead Flawless Blades with any characters that can take enhancements. Otherwise, you'd slap this straight on something that could lead Flawless Blades.
And I think, look, it's worth saying now that there's literally no enhancement you could take as it stands right now that can affect Flawless Blades. So that's why we're not mentioning them in any of these analyses.
So it's basically Noise Marines or then the battle line units.
Yeah.
Which is meh. So Prince for me.
Prince. Okay. Stratagems. What's the first one?
So Violent Excess, 1 CP, fight phase, sustained hits 1.
That's good. That's really good.
Solid.
I mean, Fulgrim already has it, so obviously he's not an option, but Flawless Blades with sustained hits is good. Yeah,
nice. It definitely brings a bit more of their potency out. Combat Stims is next, 2 CP, fight phase, -1 to be wounded for infantry only.
2 CP, I mean, expensive.
It is expensive.
But it's still a very strong ability to have. So yeah, I mean the infantry are all T4, T5 as well, right? Sorry, with the Flawless Blades.
T5, which interestingly, if the attacks are strength 4, you could now be 6s to wound.
Yeah, true.
Or T5, or strength 5, you could be 5s to wound.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there'll be a situation where it's really useful, but not that often.
All right, next one.
Honor the Prince, 1 CP, movement phase, infantry only, auto advance 6.
I'm glad it's infantry only, because that on Fulgrim would have been brutal. Like a 16-inch move with +6 and then a charge as well.
Flawless Blades.
Flawless Blades, absolutely. Yeah.
Don't need a character for this one. Straight on those Flawless Blades.
Nice.
Then we've got Dark Vigor. 1 CP, opponent's movement phase, after they've ended a normal, advance, or fallback move. You can pick a Emperor's Children unit that is not a beast or a vehicle. Monsters. You can make a normal move of up to 6.
Ooh.
So Fulgrim could react to move 6 inches.
Okay, I don't know what I'd rather, or advance than 6 Fulgrim, or react to move 6 Fulgrim. Rough either way, but this one definitely is going to be hard to get him.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, you're going to have to shoot him.
You're going to have to shoot him.
Yeah.
And then he's going to be -1 to hit anyway. Capricious Reactions is next. 1 CP. In your shooting phase, you can make an Emperor's Children unit -1 to hit.
Really good.
Yep, this army really needs, and if you haven't been able to tell by the data sheets, kind of needs some defense against shooting. Because it's all power armor. And it doesn't have its own great shooting really to deal with some of those really...
It's more anti-elite shooting than anything, isn't it? And then the only big higher toughness killing things we got is Fulgrim, who's obviously a combat piece, and then last cannons on Land Raiders potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the final stratagem?
Cruel Raiders, 1 CP. End your opponent's fight phase. You can pick an Emperor's Children unit, hold within 9 inches of a battlefield edge, not within 3 inches horizontally of enemy units. They just need to make these strats all the same. You can pop them into a strat reserves.
That's good. That's good. I think overall these stratagems, we've got a whole host of ones that actually are really going to help you. So I do think that this is a great starting point for an Emperor's Children army if you want to learn the army and get the most out of the army rule as well, because we've got auto advance 6, which is going to help re-roll advance rolls, which helps. So there's a lot here that really helps the army. Would you agree with that?
I agree. Straight out of the box set, this is probably a detachment that's worth trying. Some of the other detachments sort of lean into a lot of other models, but this is a great one. Straight out there, add Fulgrim in, and maybe a couple of boxes of something else, and then play this detachment. I think it's just going to work for you.
All right, fantastic. What is the next one?
So this one I think might be one of the best.
Right.
Peerless Bladesmen. They've got the exquisite swordsmanship ability.
Very exquisite.
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 Exquisite. Emperor's Children units that made a charge move get lethal or sustained.
Oh, so you pick one or the other,
Yes.
but you obviously get it when you charge.
When you charge. Obviously, you can fall back and charge,
Yes.
depending on the
And advanced
circumstances.
charge.
And advanced charge. So, yeah.
I really like that.
good.
Like, again, flawless blades. They are the peerless bladesmen, so they they definitely fit in this detachment, and I think it probably is their detachment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Let's go to enhancements, which obviously won't affect flawless blades. But what is the first one?
Faultless Opportunist. Now, unless I say otherwise, these all affect any Emperor's Children model. So, Faultless Opportunist, you can target the bearer's unit with heroic intervention for 0, and you can do it even if somebody else has already used heroic intervention. So you've got the potential for 2 heroic interventions, which is okay. Then we've got Blinding Speed. Once per battle, start the fight phase, you can get fights first for the bearer's unit.
That's good. That's really good.
It's good.
Because I've seen this in the Blood Angel detachment as well. The Liberator Assault group. It is nice to have just a once per game deterrent for an easy charge, especially if you combine that with heroic intervention. It's a really nice combination you can get off with that sort of enhancement.
Yeah, and whilst there is a lot of shooting in the game, this is still going to help you in certain matchups and will stop your opponent from being able to take objective markers from you if they know they're going to die.
Yeah.
Even in those builds that have some melee threats. Probably best on the Lord Excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. Lord Excellent.
Lord
I like
Excellent. Next, we've got Distortion. So this is a melee weapon buff, +1 attacks and damage of melee weapons equipped by the bearer. Weapons, plural.
Okay. Oh, so the extra
Your
attacks.
Lord Excellent now gets an extra damage on his extra attacks ability, in addition to the extra attacks and damage on his main weapon as well.
That's good.
Very spicy. Auto include on that guy.
So what's that? +4 attacks, +1 AP, +1 damage on his, as Jake would refer to, his birthday.
On his birthday.
On his birthday, he's going crazy.
With his glaive, which is probably what you'd take.
Yeah.
And then on his whip, he's still got the 4 attacks, but he's now AP 2, damage 2. That's good.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Then we've got Rise to the Challenge. This is infantry only, this one. Once per battle, at the end of the fight phase, if the bearer is within engagement range of 3 or more enemy models, they can fight again. Just them, though.
Okay.
When doing so, you can then pick one of the exquisite swordsman abilities, lethal or sustained, to apply to that fight.
I think what this does is it stops like tagging that unit potentially with like a really durable unit. Maybe your Lord Exaltant or Lord Excellent could still get the most of his abilities as well, right? When he goes out once per game, crazy, happy birthday, he can get the most out of him there, right?
It is until the end of phase, yes. I've just checked.
Yeah.
So you would get all of your attacks twice.
I mean, look, the stars would have to align for something to this to happen, right? I'm assuming there might be a strat to maybe help with this later.
There is one, yes.
Okay, right. So maybe it becomes an auto-include depending on that, right? Okay. Well, let's go into stratagems. What is the first one?
Deft Parry. So 1 CP, fight phase, Emperor's Children unit that was set as a target, -1 to hit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Solid.
Yeah. -1 to hit in combat. Nice.
Death Ecstasy. 2 CP, fight phase just after someone's selected their targets. Any Emperor's Children unit, fight on death, no roll involved.
That's good. 2 CP, auto fight and death. I like it.
Yes. You wouldn't get your lethal or sustained, though.
Ah, right, okay.
It's when you're selected to fight.
Right, sure.
Next is Incessant Violence.
Not deft, incessant violence, though.
Deft Incessant Violence.
Yeah.
It's just like keywords.
Yeah,
they got like
deft.
a word generator
Yeah.
for the strats. 1 CP, just before an Emperor's Children unit consolidates, you can consolidate 6.
So this is one is going to work really well with obviously the enhancement to give you that extra fight at the end of the turn potentially.
You have to end in engagement range of the enemy as well.
Right, okay.
So it ties in perfectly with that. Your opponent just has to have 3 or more models in that unit.
Nice. All right. Next one.
Cruel Bladesman.
Deft, cruel bladesman.
Cruel, deft Bladesman of Deafness. So fight phase 1 CP, Emperor's Children unit that made a charge move, hasn't fought yet, extra AP.
Good. Nice. And then you combo that with a Demon Prince plus 2 AP in combat.
AP 5 Flawless Blades. That's not
I
necessary.
care not about your armor.
Auto wounding on 3s.
Please give me an unvulnerable save. Please give me
Please.
Okay, nice.
I'll do whatever you want.
I wouldn't say that to an Emperor's Children, but what's the next one?
Well, it might end up with a terrifying spectacle.
Okay.
Which is the next strat.
Right.
So 1 CP opponent's command phase, you have to pick an Emperor's Children unit from your army that made a charge move and destroyed one or more enemy units in your previous fight phase. Each enemy unit within 6 inches takes a battle shock check.
Okay, we've seen this in a few detachments before, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Very situational. It does help actually combo with Noise Marines.
Noise Marines is interesting.
Yeah.
In addition, you subtract 1 from the test if they're below half strength.
Yeah, I mean, it could help with primary swing, potentially. Yeah. If you can let this go off and maybe affect multiple units here, getting the Noise Marines to maybe plan it pre-turn. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's nice to have in the pocket, maybe.
Next, we've got Cut Down the Weak. So for 2 CP, in your opponent's movement phase after they've fallen back, you can pick an Emperor's Children unit from your army. You can only select a vehicle if it's a walker, so the Mauler Fiend, that is within 6 inches of that enemy unit and would be eligible to declare a charge. They can declare a charge, but they must select the enemy unit that fell back as the target of the charge, and you don't get a charge bonus.
Okay, I mean, Fulgrim looks pretty tasty with that.
Yeah, so 2 CP charge someone as soon as they've fallen back, provided they're within 6 inches.
Well, if someone's movement characteristic is less than or 6 inches or less, you never escape him with that stratagem.
So that sorcerer.
Yeah. Ah, I see. Okay.
Making the plays, making a -2 to their move now means that on average you're charging whatever falls back, because most units are 6 inch move if they're infantry. So now they're 4 inches away. Your opponent basically just says, "Cool, I'm gonna have to stay in combat, aren't I?" Yeah. Because otherwise they give you extra movement. You got consolidate.
It's like, get over all sorts. And you pull them back.
Yeah.
Or you pull yourself towards them.
Or I guess you probably still want to fall back, because then you force your opponent to spend 2 CP. It's expensive.
It's expensive, but obviously it means that your opponent could roll higher. Potentially, you obviously don't just move 6 on the charge. You could roll up to 12, and that might be able to mean that the models could swing onto an objective. So there's different things that there's more threats that come to it than just getting back into combat, potentially.
Yeah, and you never know. They might even be able to pile into a different unit after they've been selected to fight and hit those.
Yes.
So there's options there. But that is the full suite of stratagems.
I think it's a peerless detachment. It definitely is strong. There's 2 CP stratagems.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to be looking at those icons as much as possible to generate a CP. But how do you feel about this one?
I think it's great. The detachment rule is effective all the time. Well, melee. You've got a -1 to be hit. You've got an extra AP. You've got a consolidate 6. These are great little combat stratagems.
Overall, pretty good detachment so far. What's the third one?
Next, we've got Rapid Evisceration. So mechanized murders, this one kind of gives it away. Each time an Emperor's Children model from your army makes an attack, if it disembarks from transport this turn, reroll a hit roll and a wound roll of 1. And for full clarity, that does mean all of your ones, not just a single one.
All ones.
Yeah, so it's great. The transports you've got available are Land Raiders and Rhinos, and you're going to be taking probably a few of each in this detachment.
All right. Enhancements. What's the first one?
Sublime Prescience. Not Sublime Presence,
right.
Otherwise I'd have referenced yourself. But
Thanks.
Sublime Prescience. Emperor's Children infantry model only, so no princes can have this. In fact, all 4 of these are infantry only.
Okay.
You're probably not taking a prince.
He's not a transport, so.
Once per turn in your movement phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, you select 1 transport unit in reserves. It can arrive a turn earlier, essentially. So it counts the battle round as being 1 higher than it actually is.
So we could strat reserve a Land Raider turn 1.
Turn 1, yeah.
Or if it's turn 2, we could strat reserve in our opponent's deployment zone with the Land Raider.
Yeah.
That's pretty saucy.
I think that's very interesting. Yes.
Nice. Next one.
Sublime, in fact.
Sublime.
We've got Spearhead Striker. So each time the bearer disembarks from a transport, till the end of the turn, you can reroll charge rolls for the bearer's unit, and enemy units cannot use fire overwatch to shoot at them.
That's good. That's really good.
Great.
Shame it can't be put on Flawless Blades.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Your charges is going to be in fractors.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is nice to keep that Lord going so that he
Yes.
actually gets to celebrate his birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Always want to celebrate his birthday. What's the next enhancement?
Accomplished Tactician. So this one's interesting because it's kind of an aura. So once per turn in your opponent's shooting phase, just after the enemy is shot, you select a friendly Emperor's Children unit within 9 inches of the bearer that was hit by one or more of those attacks. Then you select a transport that's wholly within 6 inches and is able to embark within for that unit. They can embark.
Oh, so they get shot
Yeah.
and then they jump straight back into
Yeah,
transport.
but it's
Does it
not
take damage?
No, just get hit.
Oh.
So it's not even the bearer that does it, though they could, obviously. But you can have them in the middle of like 3 units that are within 9 inches
Yeah.
that have got out. And you can, after your opponents hit one of the units, they just jump back into the transport.
All 3 units?
No, just the one. Just
the
once
one.
per turn.
Okay, right.
It's just the one.
Okay.
I probably would take that.
Well, you're going to get your detachment rule again.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's a
it's
way
good.
of recycling the detachment
And it
abilities.
forces your opponent to make decisions
Yes.
and might force a mistake, which I think is important.
Next one.
Heretic Adept. Emperor's Children infantry model only. Once per battle round when a saving throw is failed for a Emperor's Children vehicle model within 6 inches, you can change the damage to 0.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. What characters is that going to be useful on, though? Because none of them are lone up, are they?
No, which is the weird thing. You'd have to run around with an infantry character,
That
either solo or attached to a unit,
Yeah.
behind a transport.
And the 3 that we got, the Lord Cacophonist, the Lord Exaltant or Excellent, and then also the Sorcerer. They're the 3 that we've got.
It's interesting because I think the Cacophonist is the best option.
Yeah.
I actually think the Cacophonist is a character you can run around with on their own because they're so durable. T5, 2 up save, 6 wounds, 4 up invuln.
Yeah.
That as a standalone character, though they don't do much damage, they're just alive.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need.
Depends on points. It might be worth being
course.
the enhancement carrier for this one, right?
Yeah.
Right. Stratagems. What's the first one?
On to the next.
No. What was that one, Michael?
On to the next.
Oh, okay. Right.
is the name of the
sure.
stratagem.
Right.
Yeah. So 1 CP fight phase, after an Emperor's Children unit destroys an enemy unit, they can embark within a transport that they are able to embark within, provided it's wholly within 6 inches of that transport.
Okay. Nice.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Get out of a transport, kill something, get
Good
into
idea.
transport.
Nice.
Very
Hopscotch.
nice.
What's
Yeah.
the next one?
Next is Advance and Claim. No fancy words for these. Weird. 1 CP, your command phase, Emperor's Children transport unit that has tormentors on board, excluding battle shocked ones. You select an objective marker you control that your transport's within range of, and it becomes sticky, so it remains yours unless you take.
So you get the rule of the tormentors through the transport, keeping them alive, and obviously, okay, I like that. That's a nice to have for 1 CP.
Yeah, I think it's great. Just move forward with all the transports. You don't need to worry about it. Dynamic breakthroughs next. 1 CP. Your movement phase. Emperor's Children vehicle unit that hasn't moved yet. Till the end of the phase, each time it makes a move of any move kind, it can move through enemy models, excluding monsters and vehicles. And it can move within engagement range, but can't end within engagement range.
I mean, that's good because you can advance and shoot, get out and shoot with these units. So it means that, again, the move block is not an option here against this transport heavy army because you can just move through it freely.
Exactly. And you can advance with the Rhino and obviously still get out and shoot and stuff. So it's going to be, I think that's great.
Yeah, nice. Next one.
Ceaseless Onslaught. 1 CP, your charge phase, Emperor's Children unit that disembarked from transport that made a normal move this turn, you can still charge.
Nice. So obviously we can do this then with the Infractors and the Lord Exaltants.
Yeah.
They can get out, advance, charge, and actually do what they need to.
Excellent.
Nice. I like it.
Then we've got Reactive Disembarkation, 1 CP, your opponent's shooting phase after they have selected their targets. So you pick the transport that was selected as a target, and one Emperor's Children unit that's embarked within that transport can be set up wholly within 6 inches of that transport and not in combat.
Wholly within 6 is good.
Yes. Also, the transport doesn't have to be destroyed. It's not after the shots are resolved. You just get out.
Nice. So it means you can stop yourself from being battle shock potentially as well.
Yeah.
So might help you swing some primary, which is good.
Yeah, it's very good. You could set up heroic interventions as well.
Yeah.
Your opponent might not see that coming. Then we've got Outflanking Strike. So end of your opponent's fight phase, 1 CP, Emperor's Children transport unit, or 2 Emperor's Children dedicated transports. For each transport unit wholly within 9 inches of one or more battlefield edges, you can remove it from the table, put it in strat reserves.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, we can remove rhinos and maybe a land raider from the board. That's
So
pretty good.
your transports can essentially become point scorers,
Yeah.
which is great because they're one of the cheapest units in the army.
Yeah, true.
So
Yeah, I like it. Overall, this detachment obviously has its strengths. This can be a very rapid transport shooting heavy army with a few melee heavy hitters as well. Flawless Blaze and a Land Raider probably is a staple of it.
Yeah.
How do you feel this detachment ranks up in compared to the other two?
I think it's going to be better at scoring points because you've got all those transports and you've got a lot of tricks here as well. I think the other detachments don't have quite as many tricks. The reactive move, obviously, in the first detachment is great, but getting there's a lot of cool plays with this detachment, and the reroll, hit rolls, and wound rolls give you a lot of consistency as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great way to move if you like your metal boxes.
Your metal boxes. Your flawless metal boxes.
Your flawless metal boxes.
Right.
Your deft, flawless metal boxes. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, what is the next detachment?
The Carnival of Excess.
I like it.
So this is a mixed detachment. You take the demons in it.
Oh, right. So this is the only one we can have the demons in the army with, isn't it?
Yeah. Demonic Empowerment. So basically, while Emperor's Children are within 6 inches of Legions of Excess, and vice versa, Legions of Excess is the keyword that the demons have in this book, then they're empowered. While a unit's empowered, they get sustained hits 1 for all of their weapons. If they already have sustained hits 1, they get crits of 5s.
Fulgrim with crits of 5s.
Yeah.
Fulgrim and Shalaxi teaming up. Sustained hits on Shalaxi, sustained hits on 5s on Fulgrim.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah. Now, weirdly, on the Shalaxi note, she does have sustained hits.
Oh.
But only sustained hits D3, which is technically a different ability, so you wouldn't get crit 5s, which is sad.
Maybe that could be something FAQ'd at some point,
might be
right?
a bit much, though.
Yeah, true, actually.
For that.
Okay, let's not, no, I take that back. Let's not FAQ that one. Okay, strong detachment rule, though.
Yeah, it's really good, really good. Getting sustained hits everywhere, and then crit 5s on a certain select number of units. On top of this, we've got up to 1,000 points that can be Legions of Excess.
Okay, and I think it's worth noting now that Legions of Excess do not have the advance and charge and advance or fall back and shoot and all this sort of abilities.
They don't have that, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
but because they get sustained hits, so it's
Yes,
good.
and there's also an advanced fallback and charge strat for demons in here.
Sick.
4.
So we have to spend a CP for them, but everyone
Yeah.
else just does it naturally.
Yeah.
Nice. Enhancements. What's the first one?
We don't even have to spend the CP because with Empiric Suffering, Suffusion.
Suffusion.
It might as well be the same thing. And you can put this on any Emperor's Children model. Once per battle round, you can target a friendly Slaanesh unit, so the demons or the Emperor's Children, within 6 inches of the bearer with the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP.
That's good.
So you can heroically intervene for nothing.
Call Shalaxi over.
Yeah.
Well, I need you. Hit this thing. Boom. Give me sustained.
Then we've got Dark Blessings, Emperor's Children infantry model only. Once per battle, after they've been selected as a target, they can have a 3+ invulnerable save until the end of the phase.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Then Possessed Blade, Emperor's Children model only, so you can't put it on the demons. Start of the battle, you select a melee weapon equipped by them. We can see where this is going already. You add one to the attack characteristics of that weapon.
Yep.
And each time the bearer is selected to fight, it can use the enhancement. If it does, you get +1 damage.
Right.
And devastating wounds.
Right, okay.
But also hazardous.
So you can choose to invoke the demon inside the sword, and then... But there is obviously risk. As every single demonic weapon, there should be a risk using it, right?
Demon weapons back. Now, hazardous, needless to say, is just 3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So actually, you're probably okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
You just do it every time.
Just don't roll a 1.
Just don't roll a 1 twice in a row.
Yeah.
Warp Walker is next. This is Emperor's Children or Keeper of Secrets model. Okay. Each time the bearer's unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, add 6 to their move. It's quite nice.
Yeah, that's good.
In addition, each time the bearer's unit makes a normal advance or fallback move, you can move through enemy models, including their engagement ranges. And you automatically pass Desperate Escape tests as well.
So this on the Keeper of Secrets, I think, is probably the auto go-to, right? Because if you can advance and charge for a CP, you can just go flat 6 every single time you do this with a Keeper of Secrets, right?
They're fast.
Yeah.
Very fast. And it can't be move blocked.
Yeah.
So it's very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I think really good enhancements here. Stratagems. What's the first one, mate?
Sustained by Agony. 1 CP, fight phase after an Emperor's Children unit destroys a enemy unit. You target the Emperor's Children unit, and then you pick a Legion of Excess unit within 6 inches of that unit. One model in that unit heals 3 lost wounds. Or if it's a Demonettes unit, you return up to D3 plus 3 destroyed models instead.
D3 plus 3 Demonettes. Can they go in 20s, Demonettes?
No.
No, just ends.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
right.
ends.
So if a unit's down, like lost a few from like pistol shots or something, you just bring it back.
You just run after your Emperor's Children unit.
Yeah. Wait, help. And then
But
back.
this could be before the Demonettes unit then fights. Because if you charge with this Emperor's Children unit, you can fight, and then fights first, you can pick the order that you fight with those units, heal the D3 plus 3 destroyed models to your Demonettes unit, and then strike at full strength with them.
That's good. I like it. What's the next one?
Ecstatic Slaughter. So 1 CP, fight phase after a Legion of Excess unit has destroyed an enemy unit.
Right.
So you pick that, and then a friendly Emperor's Children unit within 6 inches of it. Your Emperor's Children unit can't be in combat, the one that you pick. It can now declare a charge. And if it does so, if it has already been selected to fight this phase, it cannot fight again this phase. Needless to say how incredibly powerful this is, because you could charge with 2 units, 1 of each.
Yep.
The Emperor's Children unit could kill the thing it's in combat with. Then the Slaanesh unit kills something it's in combat with. Now the Emperor's Children unit can charge again. That could be Fulgrim.
It could be Fulgrim.
And he could then also trigger no fallback.
Yes, and if you've tied up, look,
There's
we're
a
saying
lot
there's
you
a
can
lot
do
of
with
things
this.
you could stack, and if things go right, there could be one devastating turn where Fulgrim's just leapfrogged across your opponent's army.
Yeah, you got to watch the positioning of your army with this. I think this is a very interesting stratagem to have.
Nice. Next one.
Violent Crescendo. Oh, on that last stratagem as well, you could, in your opponent's turn, kill something with a Demon's unit. Now suddenly charge with Emperor's Children unit, and they can fight.
If it's Fulgrim and he's got to fight.
And it could,
I mean,
well,
fight
they
first
can still
wouldn't
fight.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So you could just have this unit. It's like a heroic intervention in a way,
Yeah.
but you have to kill someone. It's very interesting. Violent Crescendo, anyway, is 2 CP fight phase. You can pick a Slaanesh Beasts Infantry or Mounted unit. So that could be either the Demons or, of course, the Chaos Space Marine equivalents. Till the end of the phase, you can pile and consolidate 6 inches. So it gets even worse. If you have the CP and you get your Emperor's Children unit to charge, you can now also, for 2 CP, pile and consolidate 6. The reach with this army
it's nuts.
is
Excessive.
excessive.
Yeah.
Speaking of reach, we've got Sycophantic Surge next.
Right.
1 CP, your charge phase, 1 Legion of Excess unit. You can still charge even if you advance or fall back,
Nice.
provided you end in combat with a unit that's already in combat with an Emperor's Children unit.
Okay, so you get your advance and charge, but you have to end in combat with an Emperor's Children unit.
With an enemy unit in combat with an Emperor's Children unit.
So
yes.
you could charge with the Emperor's Children unit first, and then charge this in, and then you get it that way as
Exactly.
well. Okay,
Exactly.
good. Next one.
Uncanny Reactions. 1 CP, opponent's shooting phase. You pick a Slaanesh unit that was targeted, -1 to hit. But you can make Shalaxi -1 to hit. Cool. Dark Apparitions is next. I really like this one. So 2 CP, end of your opponent's fight phase. You pick a Demonettes unit from your army that's not in engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. You can kind of see where we're going with this. You remove them from the battlefield and put them in strategic reserves. If it arrives back on the battlefield in the reinforcement step of your next movement phase using the Deep Strike ability, it can be set up anywhere that's more than 6 inches horizontally away from all enemy units, provided it's also set up wholly within 9 of a Emperor's Children unit.
So similar to like Index Demons, when you're arriving next to like a Locus or one of the greater demons, you now get this with Emperor's Children units.
Yes, it can still charge.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
whilst
really
it
good.
is 2 CP, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall this detachment, as you've said, genuinely has a lot of reach and a lot of tricks you can pull, and you're genuinely utilising a lot of high AP and a lot of hard-hitting units here, aren't you? Because Shalaxi, Keeper of Secrets, Fulgrim all excel in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got this Demon Prince with the extra AP kicking about, your Demonettes are AP2 base,
Yeah.
your Fiends AP3, there's a lot of synergies in here, and I actually think there's a lot to explore with this detachment over some of the other ones, because you've got 1,000 points of Demons, well, the 5 data sheets to play with, and then 1,000 points of Emperor's Children or more to play with from this book. It just, I guess the reason it's good is because you have a much bigger pool of units.
Yeah, I mean,
by 5
you've
units.
got your 5 extra data sheets, which you're probably missing from the Emperor's Children army, aren't you? So it's a nice to kind of look at it in a different light with that detachment.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, nice. We got a 5th detachment though. What is it?
Coterie of the Conceited.
Okay.
Pledges to the Dark Prince. Start the battle round. If your warlord is on the battlefield, you have the pledger number to Slaanesh. At the end of the battle round, if the number of enemy units destroyed this battle round is greater than or equal to your pledge, you gain pack points equal to your pledge. So if you say, oh, I'm going to pledge 2 to Slaanesh, and you kill 2 or more units, you get 2 packed points.
Right, okay. But if we said, I'm going to kill 2 but killed 4, we still only get 2 points.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of the downside to not believing in yourself enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if all goes wrong,
Yeah.
and you don't meet your pledge, then your warlord suffers D3 mortal wounds and you don't get any packed points.
Right, okay. Right. And we talked about pack points. What do they do?
Okay, so over the course of the battle, you can accumulate packed points. These are cumulative bonuses. So at any point, if you've got 1 packed point, you get reroll hits of 1.
Okay, for shooting or
Just everything.
everything? On hits and wounds?
Just hit rolls of 1.
Just hit rolls.
Once you reach 3 packed points, all your Emperor's Children units get reroll 1s to wound.
Ah, right, okay. So 1, reroll hits, 3, reroll wounds as well. Of
Yes,
1.
Of 1. When you reach 5 or more, then you get lethal and sustained on all of your melee weapons.
And sustained.
And, yeah.
I mean, 5's not that difficult to achieve.
Depends what you're playing against. It's
I
really
guess if it's knights,
situational.
it's not like gonna be
Yeah.
that great, yeah.
But if you're playing against this army as well, you're like, well, I can't give you too much to kill because you're going to be very good.
Yeah, stop killing me.
Maybe I'll put this lone up infiltrating lieutenant at the back of the field rather than at the front. Because you got to remember, this army is incredibly fast.
Yeah.
So it's going to rack up these kills if you give them to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
7+ crit 5s.
Right, so obviously with 5 we're going to get sustained and lethal, but as soon as we hit that 7 mark, we've now got crit 5s. That's damage output as soon as you get to that point is
Problem.
you don't need to pledge at that point.
No, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's really good.
You can
really
pledge
good.
for fun after that.
Pledge for fun.
So you don't need the points.
Whose fun is that, Michael? Yours or the opponents? Right. Let's look at the enhancements. What's the first enhancement?
Pledge of eternal servitude.
Yep, that's me at VT.
Any Emperor's Children model.
Yeah.
First time the bear is destroyed, take a leadership test. If they pass, set them back up on the battlefield with D6 wounds remaining.
Okay, so we can get back up.
Yep.
With D6 wounds.
So you can
Demon Prince?
die, fight on death, get back up, fight on death.
Ah, okay. Yeah, sure. That's
Which is
definitely
great.
Pledge of Eternal Servitude.
That is eternal servitude. Yeah. Pledge of Dark Glory.
Yeah.
Emperor's Children unit models rather. Bear is leading a unit. You get +1 leadership and OC for models in that unit.
Cool.
That's all right.
OC3 on your tormentors or your
Yeah.
infractors is good.
OC2 Noise Marines, I think is quite interesting.
That's quite interesting, actually. Yeah, nice break point.
Pledge of Mortal Pain. That's also you.
That's me, yeah.
Any Emperor's Children model, start your shooting phase, select an enemy unit within 12 inches and visible to the bearer. They must take a leadership test, subtracting 2 from the result if they're battle shocked. If failed, they suffer 3 mortal wounds. So you can buff this with the Noise Marines. Well, actually, no, you can't because it's the start of your shooting phase. So this is just a
Yeah, because then you
standalone.
lose the previous buff and you'd have to shoot again, and
that
that's
happens
part
after
that,
the start
yeah,
of it.
so
Yeah,
you're not going to buff it
Just
with
don't
that.
take it.
Yeah, just okay,
basically.
cool. Right.
Pledge of Unholy Fortune. So any Emperor's Children model, once per turn after making a hit roll, wound roll, or saving throw from model in the bearer's unit, if you're not battle shocked, you can treat the result as an unmodified 6.
Okay. Right. Cool. Flipping dice to a 6.
Yep. Sustained hits on your Noise Marines with a Cacophonist,
Pretty good.
including an Overwatch. Yep.
I do like the Demon Prince getting back up, fighting on death, get back up, fight on death.
Yeah.
Obviously, only going to happen into certain matchups because gun lines are not going to care about you fighting on death.
You
But
just throw a grenade when he's got the next
yeah,
D6.
exactly. Don't let him keep fighting on death. Right. Stratagems. What's the first one?
Protection of the Dark Prince. 1 CP, any phase after a mortal wound or attacks allocated to a model in an Emperor's Children unit. If you're going to pay 6 up, or 4 up against mortals.
That's good. I think it's nice that you got the 6 up against everything and the 4 up against mortals. I think that's the one thing all the other detachments are lacking is mortal wound defenses.
Yeah.
And because we don't have it on data sheets, it's definitely good to have it here.
Yeah. If you're relying on dev wounds to kill something like Fulgrim, he can now pop 4 up, and he's probably going to live.
Yeah.
And of course, grenades.
Yeah.
Unshakable opponents, 1 CP, command phase, Emperor's Children unit. Till the end of the turn, they ignore any or all modifiers to ballistic skill, weapon skill, hit rolls, and wound rolls.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It means your flawless blades are always going to be hitting on 2s and just doing the business. I like it.
Embrace the pain.
Nice.
It's weakness leaving the body, as they say. 1 CP. Start the fight phase. Infantry unit from your army. Each time an enemy model within engagement range of your unit selects targets, it must select your unit as the target of its attacks.
This is a good stratagem.
This is an excellent stratagem.
I like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to hit Fulgrim? Come to me first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Really
Nice.
good. Combine this with Heroic Intervention. Cool tricks.
Yeah. Fantastic. What's the next one?
Martial Perfection. So 1 CP, fight phase, Emperor's Children unit that's not fought yet. You can reroll hits.
There we go. This detachment's sounding great. We've got some really, really good stratagems here. What's the next one?
Unbound Arrogance. 1 CP, your shoot phase or the fight phase, you can increase your pledge when you've destroyed an enemy unit. You can only use this stratagem once per battle round.
I like this because if you, like we mentioned earlier, if you say you're going to kill 2, but you actually end up killing like 4 or 3, you can spend this stratagem and now you're going to get the 3 points because you've actually done more than you thought you would have. So this is actually a really good stratagem to have.
Yeah, it helps you get more pat points if you've overachieved.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Armor of Abhorrence is next. So 1 CP in your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase. After they've targeted an Emperor's Children unit, you can reduce the AP of those attacks by 1. As per balanced data slate, this would only work for those specific attacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, right? Overall, this detachment actually sounds like a very strong detachment. I would actually go to say this might be the most fun detachment so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool, unique interactions.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we haven't seen before, which is good. And the reroll hits as well. Combine that once you get your sustained and lethals, crits on 5s with reroll hits on the enhancement or stratagem as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely got the damage output, but it's also got the fluff and the cool interactions with it as well, which is good.
Now, I can see Fulgrim being the take for the Warlord.
Yes.
But I can also see like a Cacophonist sat on your home objective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being the Warlord as well, just to keep getting the pacts. Because if you lose your Warlord, you can't get your pacts.
Yeah.
Which is ouch.
You definitely want to have Fulgrim then.
I don't know. Because he could die and he'll probably die.
If he dies, for the greater good.
Different army, George.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Eternal servitude. That's what we're about here.
Yeah, exactly. He'll just come back. Right, anyway, what's the final detachment?
Slaanesh's Chosen.
Ooh.
Internal rivalries. Emperor's Children character units from your army ignore all modifiers, any or all modifiers to move, advance, and charge rolls.
That's good.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad. At the start of the battle, your Warlord's unit is your army's favoured champions. The first time in each player's turn that an Emperor's Children unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, after resolving all of its attacks, that character unit becomes your army's new favoured champions, replacing the old one. Each time a model in your army's favoured champions unit makes an attack, you reroll wounds.
So there seems to be a slight issue, though, with this detachment rule, in the fact that once you get it going, you're never receiving the benefits, really, are you?
Yeah, the timing's a bit off with this. Because once you've killed an enemy unit, you become the favoured champion. But as soon as somebody else kills a unit, they become the favoured champion.
Yeah.
So in your next turn, the unit that killed something may not even be the one that gets to have the real wounds. Because let's say over 2 turns in the game, your Noise Marine unit kills something and it has a Cacophonist in it. They're now favoured. Then you charge and you kill something with a Lord Excellent. They're now favoured. So your Cacophonist is never going to get the reroll wounds. So then in your next turn, you shoot something and kill it. The Cacophonist is favoured.
Yeah.
And then you charge and kill something.
It should really be the opposite way round. Is the favoured unit gets maybe a different buff, but everything else could reroll wound rolls of 1 or reroll wound rolls until that point, right? And then you lose that good benefit when you become the favoured, potentially.
Yeah, it is strange. It almost encourages you to not take things like Cacophonists in the units, just so they can't steal the favour away.
Yeah.
But
You're gonna have to have one character. It's gonna have to be like Fulgrim, and then everyone else is just on their own.
yeah.
But okay, I mean, Fulgrim with reroll wounds would be nice.
Yeah. True.
But overall, okay. Well, not great detachment rule. What's the enhancements?
Eager to prove. Emperor's Children model only. You can reroll charge rolls made for the bearer's unit. Whilst they're your favoured champions, you get +2 move.
That's good. So maybe that's actually going to benefit outside of it now?
I mean, the reroll charges, yeah, but when are you going to be your favoured champions?
In the movement phase. Yeah. Yeah, true, actually, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you'd have had to kill something in your opponent's turn and then live through their turn, and then you're the favoured champions.
And your opponent not charge into you and let a unit die, potentially, to force you to not get that ability.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Next one.
Repulsed by weakness. Emperor's Children models. So all of these are Emperor's Children models, so you can put them on princes. Each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, within engagement range falls back, they have to take desperate escapes. This is great. If the bearer's unit is your favoured champions, -1 to those desperate escape tests. Now this is an ability that will kick in for your unit. You kill something, consolidate into something, your opponent has to take desperate escape tests at -1 if they're not monsters and vehicles.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's really going to hurt armies like Custodes, things with these like elite units, right? They hate desperate escape tests, especially with minuses to it as well.
Yeah.
Really strong one to have.
Then we've got Proud and Vainglorious. You can reroll Battle Shock and Leadership test taken for the bearer's unit. If they're your favoured champions, you get +1 to your OC.
Yeah.
It's okay. Maybe kill an enemy unit and you get +1 OC, steal an objective.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Still probably not worth it. Then we've got Slayer of Champions. So this is worth it and has nothing to do with being your favourite champions.
Nice.
You get precision on your melee weapons, all of them. And each time you make a melee attack that targets a character unit, you improve the strength and an armour of penetration of that attack by 1.
That's good. Lord Exalting with that.
Excellent.
His birthday, he's popping. He's popping.
He's popping. He's going to be the favourite champion after that.
Yeah, he's my favourite champion. Right, let's take a look at the stratagems. What is the next one?
Devoted Duelists. 1 CP fight phase, Emperor's Children character unit that hasn't fought yet. Till the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by models in the character unit have sustained hits while targeting that enemy unit. So it's sustained hits, but only against one enemy unit.
I mean, it's good. It's still good to get sustained hits. It's nice.
Solid. Then we've got Beautiful Death.
A beautiful death.
1 CP, fight phase. After enemy unit selects its targets, you pick a character unit from your army that is being targeted, and you get Fight on Death on a 4+, +1 if you're the favoured champions. Then we've got Heightened Jealousy. It's like me and you.
Yeah,
I'm very jealous.
Jealous you're holding that book.
So 1 CP in your shooting phase or the fight phase, after an Emperor's Children character unit becomes your favoured champions, just after your favoured champions unit destroys an enemy unit, the target is the champions unit. Till the end of the phase, each time a model in the Emperor's Children character unit that is not the favoured champions unit makes an attack, you get +1 strength. So you become a favoured champion, everybody else gets +1 strength until the end of the phase.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that common.
No,
unfortunately.
Not really.
The main issue we have here is that Flawless Blades can only have one character join them. So giving them +1 strength, mostly relevant because they can just auto wound on 3s.
Well, this is my point. I was just about to say Flawless Blades don't really care about this ability.
+1 strength is probably best on the Noisy Boys.
Noise Marines, yeah.
Because you can get strength 11 with the Blastmaster, strength 6 with the Sonic Blasters, and then maybe strength 5 on the Sword Boys, Infractors. Then we've got Diabolic Majesty. 1 CP, shooting phase or fight phase. Each enemy unit within 6 inches of yours must take a battle shock test at -1 as soon as you've become a favoured champion. You can only use it once per battle round. So kill a unit, become a favoured champion, force battle shocks at -1 for everybody within 6.
Yeah, nice.
Or minus lots if Noise Marines have shot them.
Yeah, all right. Next one.
Refusal to be outdone. 1 CP, charge phase. An Emperor's Children character unit gets +2 to charge if it's charging something that's already in combat with one or more units from your army. It's like I'm not going to be outdone by you. I get the bonus to charge.
I mean, it's good. It means that we can pretty much guarantee 2 going in. We set one up really close, get the easy charge, make the harder charge deep strike charge as well, potentially.
Yeah.
Get a 7-inch charge from deep strike.
Yeah.
It's good.
Not that you have many units that, I guess, Terminators. Fulgrim, I suppose, yeah. Yeah, nice. Then we've got Vengeful Surge. 1 CP, opponent's shooting phase. After an Emperor's Children character unit has been selected as a target of one or more attacks. After you've been shot, you can surge move. So you can move D6 inches towards the closest enemy unit, and you can end in combat. If you're the favoured champions, you can re-roll the dice to determine the distance.
That's going to be a nightmare in Fulgrim, especially if he picks a fight first, potentially. Like, that could be horrible, but even just having a surge move as a stratagem means that your opponent has to be very wary of your threat ranges and things like that, and keep out of that 6-inch bubble, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they are currently the favoured champions, they'll actually get to use their ability.
Yeah, true.
Because they might be in combat.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, it's a bit of a weird detachment.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd see that as one of those that we would kind of maybe need some changes to make that competitive. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree. I think there's just some timings just don't work.
Yeah.
As it currently stands. But I think it'd be something that people would easily get wrong on the competitive scene. So I'd probably best avoid it.
Yeah.
Just my 2 pence.
Well, that is everything now. We've gone through all the detachments. We've gone through the army rule. We've gone through data sheets. How do you feel this book stands competitively in terms of other codexes that are already out?
I think there's definitely one or two lists that you could take competitively to tournaments and do well with, especially if you've got the ability to understand when to use certain stratagems, some of the tricks that we've talked about, reactive moves, etc., to do very well at tournaments. However, I think in general, players of Emperor's Children will probably struggle into the game at the moment. There's a lot of shooting happening. They don't really have an answer to being outshot. And there's also a lot of high toughness models hanging around, vehicles, monsters. And once again, I don't think Emperor's Children have a huge answer to that.
No, I completely agree. I think the one thing that is the Codex is struggling with is choice. We don't have much of a choice when it comes to units being led, the characters. Flawless Blades feel like they kind of left out in quite a few of the options with like the combos. So I think there's room for improvement with this book, and I think, like you said, at least there's some competitive viability with it, but there definitely is room for it to grow, and hopefully we can see some changes that will actually make this a bit more usable competitively. Yeah,
I would love to see GW introduce some more units, maybe like they did with balanced data slates with detachments for certain factions. I'd love to see them like drop a slate where they give them, I don't know, Predators back, the Hellbrute back or something, just to give them a bit more teeth in different phases of the game.
Yeah, I think maybe one thing they could have done is allow Flawless Blades to be led by other units other than Lucius, and actually not make them count as 2 in a transport. I don't know if they're balancing reasons. Potentially that is the case. We'd have to see this book in action and see if Flawless Blades actually are very strong.
Maybe give them an extra attack.
An extra attack, potentially. I mean, Slaanesh usually have a lot of attacks, but less strength.
I think it all comes down to data sheets again. If there were more characters, like a Master of Executions, but like Emperor's Children based, then they could lead something like Flawless Blades. It would make sense. But as it stands, less options means less competitive, if we're being honest. And that is the current state of the book.
Yeah, no, completely agree with that, Mike. But thank you for joining me on this journey, going through this codex and evaluating what this means now for players who want to pick up the new Emperor's Children and also play this faction, newly introduced to 40k as well, but something that's definitely been established in the lore for a very, very long time.
Well, naturally, got to say thank you to Games Workshop for sending us the full box set with the codex, the data cards, and of course all of the wonderful new units. There's a lot of plastic in that box. Definitely check it out if you are an Emperor's Children fan. I'm looking forward to maybe doing some Night Lordy ones. But yes, thank you Games Workshop for sending us a copy of this so we could make all of this content for you guys at home.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll see you in a video very soon.